Hello everybody, welcome to Review a Day episode number 10 for Friday, August the 22nd, 2008. Hello everybody, welcome to Review a Day, the daily video blog where I review a movie 7 days a week. My name is Leland Brungart and thank you very much for joining me. The movie I'm reviewing for you guys today is a movie I was actually very excited about, which is a movie called The Signal. It's a horror movie and it's written and directed by three men. David Bruckner, Jacob Gentry, and Dan Bush. The movie stars Anessa Ramsey, AJ Bone, and Matt Stanton. The movie is directed by three different directors, and it's also written by them. The film is divided into three transmissions, in what they're called in the film, and it's basically three stories about it's kind of an end of the world story. It feels a lot like 28 Days Later. Basically, all the TVs, all the radios, kind of goes static, and this static drives about 50% of everyone crazy, and everyone kind of turns into murderers. So I'm not going to get too much into it. The first act is about a girl who's having an affair with a guy. She's unhappy in her marriage. She leaves her lover. She comes home. Everyone's going crazy. Her husband ends up being a murderer. And it's about her trying to get out of that situation. The second act is a slapstick kind of Sam Raimi comedy, I guess. That involves her husband, where her husband gets wrapped into this kind of story about a woman who was still trying to throw a party despite everything that was going on. And the third act kind of tries to tie everything together with the girl's boyfriend and her husband and the girl, and I don't want to get too much into it in case people are really excited about this movie. Like I said, it's divided into three transmissions. Despite having three directors, the film has a very cohesive look, and I liked that. It wasn't very jarring going from one transmission to the other. However, the tone was not all the same. The acting on the most part is pretty okay. It's good in places. There's really only about one standout performance, I would say, and it's a guy who's in the middle transmission who is hysterical. He just shows up for the party. I don't think he realizes everything that has been going on. But he was the standout part. If you see this movie, he's fantastic. Yeah, I also saw The Ruins recently, and the acting in that was pretty top-notch, and so this movie just kind of wasn't quite as great in comparison. The Ruins is not a great movie, but the acting was pretty good. This movie borrows heavily from films like Pulp Fiction, with the kind of three different stories that are intertwined. It borrows from Shaun of the Dead, Evil Dead. The middle section is very much Sam Raimi. I don't know. This movie has a lot of ambition, and it tries to be a movie like 28 Days Later. It falls short, though. This film is not terribly original, and it isn't very good. I know a lot of people really like this movie. The three acts have a very cohesive look, like I said, but the tone is all over the place. The first act is probably, for me, the strongest part, and what I expected most out of this movie. It starts off, and it's actually pretty scary. I liked that part the most of it. The scenes where she's kind of in her apartment while her husband's going crazy, you can feel the tension building, and it was actually very scary. Unfortunately, all of the tension that is built in the first act is completely wiped out by a second act, which is like a slapstick comedy that isn't as funny as Shaun of the Dead, and it isn't as clever or original as anything that Sam Raimi has ever done. But luckily it has that really great performance from one guy. I don't know his name. He shows up at the party, talks about how much he hopes that there's going to be chicks there, and it's pretty lewd, but he's very funny and definitely the standout performance of the film. And then the third act is where the movie completely fell apart for me. There's a scene where they bring a decapitated head back to life. And I know we're dealing with horror movie logic here, but it was stupid. They take the head, they put it in a vise, they screw some screws into it. I think they stick like clips on it from a car battery, and it was just, no. The first act was the strongest, but it also contained some of my most eye-rolling moments. I felt the opening scene between the main heroine, I guess, and her boyfriend, her lover, was just so cliche and so trite, and I could not stand it. He makes her a mix CD, and then and she puts it in her Discman. I don't know why, but who the hell listens on a Discman anymore? And she's listening to it the whole time. She puts herself in danger to retrieve this disc at times, and I was just like, forget the Discman. It was... I didn't care about any of these characters. I think they did a really poor job about... I mean, yeah, this girl has a boyfriend. She's unhappy in her marriage. I don't care. Her husband's a dick. He ends up being a murderer. The second act was slapstick, kind of trying to be like a funny farce or something. It destroyed all the tension. And then after that, I could not get scared. I did not care by the end of this movie. I was ready for it to be over. However, lots of people really like this movie, so, I mean, this film was not for me, and I would say skip it. I wish I could go back in time and tell myself that I would be disappointed. You know, just watch a great horror movie again. Watch 28 Days Later, watch Shaun of the Dead, watch A Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead. Watch something better, because I think this film fell really short. I admire the ambition, but at the end of the day, the movie has to pull off, and I don't think at all that this movie did it. So I say skip it. If it's at the top of your Netflix queue, you know, sure, watch it. Hopefully someone else will like this movie more than I did. I was really disappointed because I thought this movie sounded so cool and it's so interesting, but it really fell short. So that's my review of The Signal. I'm going to be seeing Death Race today with a buddy of mine. I'll have my review for that tomorrow. If you guys are liking these reviews, make sure and subscribe. It'll help me feel better about myself. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.